All right, I'm going live from YouTube. Try to do it on StreamYard and it wasn't working, so I got to get that fixed later. We'll see what happens. So big news from today: Tom Brady officially retires. So we will. I'll be talking more about Tom Brady in a minute. So the other news is who's going to be the next defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. It seems like every year they are, because how successful the 49ers are, they're losing a lot of executives, losing a lot of coaches because they're that good. Let me adjust this real quick. All right. So get that background in the back. So today's news, biggest news is the Broncos got Sean Payton, and he's going to be the next head coach of the Denver Broncos, and we'll see how well he does over there. He's a really good coach. The Broncos really wanted him. They traded some picks for him, a first this year, a first next year, I believe, and then a second or third round. So that's what they got there in Denver. They got Sean Payton coming over there, and I'm messing with this because this is where I get my news info from. Okay. It's pretty cool to watch everything unfold in the last 2 days of what the 49ers are going to do, what type of talent they're evaluating, who are they looking forward to bring on board, and the people that's going to leave this year. One of them, just from what Jimmy Ward said, he said that he wants to be a Niner. I wouldn't blame him for being a Niner, but he talked about what Kyle Shanahan told him: either you play nickel or you ride the bench. So he played nickel, and guess what happened? He became one of the better nickel uh, cornerbacks. So or nickel defenders there is. So he became one of those guys. Um, so I don't think that Jimmy Ward is going to come back. I doubt he's going to come back and suit up for the San Francisco 49ers next year. He could be going over to Houston. I would love to see Jimmy Ward back playing for the San Francisco 49ers, but I don't think it's going to happen. Uh, Other thing is Robbie Gould. He needs to be signed. We need him back. Kickers are so hard to come by, and he's a good one. I know he missed a couple of kicks this year, but what was it? Less than three kicks that he missed, or somewhere around there. But he's really good. The other There's going to be a lot of guys that they're going to lose, and I think they're going to. If Vic Fangio comes back in, I don't know if he's going to run a 3-4 or 4-3 scheme, but if he does a 4-3, we need to get a monster right in the middle, defensive tackle, nose tackle. We need to get a big body in there if he's going to run a 4-3. Um, and then the other part is who's going to be our linebackers. I just wanted to look this up real quick. The In a 4-3 scheme, we have our two middle linebackers. We saw what he did with Um, with our two linebackers, one of is going Patrick Willis. He's probably destined. He's gonna be in the. I think he is in the Hall of Fame or one of the candidates for this coming. I don't know. I got to look that up. So let me take a brief timeout real quick. There's some minor things going on here. Okay, so where we're at. I'm pretty sure that Robbie Gould is going to get signed. I don't think that they're going to have an issue. I don't have an issue re-signing him. So, but Vic Fangio, if he gets hired, coming back in, whoever comes in here, we'll see what happens with what the defense is going to be. They can come and get me. I'll take over on that role, and I'll make sure that defense is going to be lights out. I'm just saying, I'll put my name in the hat for me to be on that, to be a DC. So, okay, go back to the last two games. Dre Greenlaw, really fantastic player. Gets all over the field. He's really good. And but a couple of the plays that he gave up, one of them, actually the last three games, the running backs, instead of him going out and setting the edge, uh, Mike Singletary said this best about a lot of times. Patrick Willis, one day in practice, he avoided the the lineman coming towards him. So he tried to avoid the lineman, and right away, Mike Singletary stopped the whole practice, got in his face, and said, "What the hell are you doing?" And he said, "Well, there was a lineman there. I had to get around him." He said, "No, you don't get around a lineman. You go right through that fool. Uh, you go right through him. That's how you play linebacker. You go right through that person." Okay. So I used to play a little bit back in my days, but I used to plug those fullbacks right into the running back. That's what these linebackers need to do. Go in as hard as if you see a lineman coming in, you don't just step back, you go after that. You hit him. You hit that fool. What does that do? If you hit a person that's coming out to try to block you, it'll push him back into the running back, and your help is going to be there to be able to make that tackle. So on Sunday, Dre Greenlaw did the same thing. He did the same thing that Patrick Willis did in a practice that Mike Singletary stopped. He said, "You have to hit that lineman. I don't care how big they are. You can still blast that guy out of the way." So you have to be able to do that. So Dre Greenlaw, today you're the topic of discussion for me, because if you want to be that all pro, you and Fred Warner, you guys are two different type of players as linebackers, and you're more of that traditional uh, linebacker that'll go after people. So what you have to do is hit that the lineman who it doesn't matter who they are, but you got to know where to hit them at. So just don't. That's the only part of your game that you need to fix is that, and I think you'll be an All Pro next year. That's Dre Greenlaw, linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers. He makes that change, and they go into a 4-3. If Vic Fangio comes in, if Vic Fangio comes in and he becomes the head coach, then um, that's that's the things that's going to happen for Dre Greenlaw. He will be an All Pro next year if he just goes through the lineman. You can't let a lineman push you. You just got to go in, smack that lineman, hit him as hard as you can, and he'll go right back into that running back. So on Sunday, I believe it was the first play of the game or first touchdown for the Eagles was a play where Dre Greenlaw, instead of going out and containing the outside, he decided to go in the inside, and there was a touchdown there. I'm pretty sure it was the first one. I have to go back and relook at the tape, but if he does that, lights out next year. Dre and Fred will be the best linebackers in the league, bar none. They That's just how good they are. And if Dre Greenlaw just does that, they're going to be lights out. All right. So the big news for today is that we had Tom Brady announcing that he is for sure going to retire. That's the biggest news. Last night I was on Niner Gang Wolfcast with Wolf, and we talked about Tom Brady and what I see if he would come over to the San Francisco 49ers. I don't want Tom Brady to be a Niner. I think his best years are well behind him. But I said if he wanted to come over to the Niners, or if Aaron Rodgers want to come over to the Niners, they just need to not ask for a $25 million contract per year. They got a short window to be able to make this a Super Bowl team, and they got to be able to understand that the window is really small, and they need players around them for them to win. Tom Brady, after he left New England, he went down to Tampa Bay, and they already had a really good defense at that time. So they had a really good defense, and they won a Super Bowl. He could do the same thing here. Don't ask for a lot of money. If he was going to come over, he said, "I'm going to retirement," but he said that last year. I think he said that before. He had to go back and look at everything and then come back in. But if he does decide to unretire from being retired, then and he wants to come and play for the San Francisco 49ers. Last night, I wasn't really fond of that idea, but now listening to reports that Brock Purdy will be out for it's just reports, but they said that he will be out the whole year next year. So if that's going to happen, then we should get Tom Brady in there. But I still want them to roll with Trey Lance because I think Trey Lance will be a terrific quarterback. I think he can make all the plays. Feel bad about Brock Purdy and the way things are happening for him to have a Cinderella story end like that on Sunday on one play. And, that's just the thing about Kyle Shanahan is he calls these plays really early in the game, and his quarterbacks get hurt. They get hurt early in the games, and he needs to take a look at that. He didn't have to call that game. Actually, I saw a piece from David Lombardi this morning where he kind of went over that play, that specific play, and Brock Purdy has sufficient time to throw it, but that's one of those plays that Kyle Shanahan should be putting out there in the fourth quarter, third or fourth quarter. So it's a coach's decision. It was also his decision not to challenge that first play. And David Lombardi, he really said that. Um, he said if he would have challenged that, call a timeout, at least look at that play if it was a catch or not, and then make that decision. I don't think Brock Purdy would have gotten hurt in that game, and there could have been a different outcome. But that's all done and gone with. It's history. It's in the books. The San Francisco 49ers are already gone 2 days past as they look for to picking up people to come in and play for the team for next year. There's a lot of people that needs to get signed, and the key guy that I need them to get signed right now is Nick Bosa. Of course, it's going to take a while for that negotiation to happen. He's not looking to make break the bank type money. He already said that he wants to come back in and play for a team that's going to win a Super Bowl. So big ups to Nick Bosa for saying that. But he has an agent and the agent is the one that's going to try to determine his value and fight hard for that money. But Nick Bosa understands the whole NFL and the business about it, and winning a Super Bowl is what he's wanting to happen. He wants a Super Bowl. So in order to have a Super Bowl, you have to have a high caliber roster and people around you. So look at what they did over there in Dallas. Cowboys fans, you might hate me for this, but it's the truth. They paid Dak Prescott a lot of money, and then you lose key players from your team. Every team is driven by players, and the San Francisco 49ers is the same. You have to get players. You have to get those guys that will be able to come in and contribute and play at high level, so that way you can get back to an NFC championship game or to a Super Bowl. Now, we've gone through the ride with the San Francisco 49ers for a long time where they have great runs, they make it to the playoffs, and then they become mediocre teams, and you can see why. We can just go back to right after Harbaugh left. What happened? A lot of the players left. We had 12 key players, starters that left the San Francisco 49ers, and then we spiraled into mediocrity for a number of years until Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch got hired about 7 years ago. And from there, the San Francisco 49ers went to a Super Bowl, been to two NFC championship games, but in between those times, they started off with 4-12, 4 and something. The records weren't really good in the beginning of the Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch era. Why? Kyle Shanahan actually said when he first came over and looked at the roster that was on San Francisco, he said this has got to be the worst roster that I've ever seen, and he said that it's got to be the worst one that he's ever seen. So we don't know what's going to happen, but there's one guy that I really want the San Francisco 49ers to grab, and that's in the draft. His name is I forget his first name, but his last name is Ika. He plays for Baylor, big boy, and he will fit that scheme with the 4-3 with so I think Nick Bosa can play at a high level with anybody around him, but that's what we need for them to get him signed and bring him back. All right. So I got some. Hey, what's up, Niner Gang? Wolfcast. Bryant Cope, what's happening? I'm just reading some of these chats up on here. So Steve-O, I'm going to do I'm going to do a show with Niner Game Wolfcast on Friday. I'm bringing in one of my buddies that I've known for a long time. He was a defensive coordinator for BYU. He was also at Oregon State and at Utah number of years ago. But he also was the linebackers coach that coached Fred Warner at BYU. So on Friday, look for that. Um, we're going to have him on. It'll be 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 4 o'clock Pacific Time, just to get to know like and understand how they evaluate players coming out of high school and also coming out of the NFL. He will be fielding questions, so I asked for everybody to come in and talk about how they can how players are developed and everything. So and what they look for, and I invite everybody to come in. And I'm going to try the next few weeks before probably next week before the Super Bowl, have another guy on, and then from there on, I just started getting this channel going towards the direction of covering the San Francisco 49ers because I do a lot of sports stuff. So just to let everybody know, that's one of the biggest things that I like doing is to play sports and also watch sports. And um, so Brian Cope says that Bosa definitely is coming back. He definitely is going to come back. His agent's going to fight for him, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see because I like what Nick Bosa said. He said, "I'm not looking for to be paid the most. I'm looking to get paid, but I want the players around that's going to get us to a Super Bowl." And for sure, that's what for sure that's what's going to happen because if uh, if we look at the scheme of things, a lot of teams go into um, they just drop. There's just a drop in level of talent on those teams, and it's because of that. It's because they don't have the cap space to be able to pay the players to keep a roster like how the 49ers have as a championship roster. So in order for them to do that, the big name guys are superstars and everything. Sometimes they have to rework their contracts. We saw that happen a number of times when Jerry Rice was getting paid back in the early 80s and 90s, late 80s and 90s and early 90s that he was restructuring his contract. We saw Steve Young do that a couple of times because why? They wanted that player on that team. They wanted these players to get paid. So, um, so I couldn't get up on StreamYard because something went wrong on there, and I had to get on here a little late. But we'll get that fixed. So on the next stream, I can have guests and everything coming in. So I got to get it done. Um, yes, I'm not a good typer either. All right, so there is going to be a what I'm going to look for if Vic Fangio comes in, they've got to draft a big body guy, and I said it before and I'll say it again. They need to get that guy from Baylor. Just imagine. I said this last night on Wolf's channel, but just imagine this. Just imagine you had Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, and Vita Vea in there with and if they didn't let go of I keep forgetting his name, but um, Buckner. I shouldn't forget his name because he's from Hawaii. So Buckner. What if they had that lineup going into that 2019 Super Bowl? Uh, that'll be like a lights out. Do whatever you want, but you're gonna get hit, and the quarterback is going to really scramble everywhere because they have that kind of lineup. So yeah, in the comments, guys, just let me know what do you think of that lineup if we would have had that lineup, right? Steve Spremo says Mitchell had the play. He didn't run out of bounds versus Dallas. When did he get hurt? I don't know. Mitchell is an ex wide receiver. I don't know when he got hurt. He could have got hurt just going back on the sideline. Uh, so that's something that I didn't know how he got hurt, or he could have just got hurt by being banged up in there, and something got re-aggravated when he was playing. So that's just I don't know. I'll go back and take a look and try to find out what that is. And um, so Brian Cope said, "Jay in the Bay, it's great." Uh, is that from somebody that's Brian that popped in, or I don't know who Jay is, but I guess it's great. He's in the Bay. All right. So moving on, there is on the offensive side, they really got to shore up that right side, bring in an experienced veteran on the right side. So um, Mike McGlinchey just isn't it, and he's the guy that I look at. We might be singling him out, but he's just got to be able to. He doesn't understand how to get his pad level down, how to get sink his butt down on plays. It's like both of his legs are stuck together, like somebody tied them together, and he's trying to run with it being tied. It's just not. He's not getting his stance out. He's not getting out. If you look at the left side, what our left tackle does compared to what our right tackle does, you can see there's a big difference on how each other know how to play. Um, Mike McGlinchey, he's been doing this for a long time, and he's still not getting it. So if he was able to, if I was an offensive coach, I would just keep reminding him that he would do a lot better if he did, but he doesn't do that. So that's you know, a lot of times we can just look at players and blame players on a lot of things, but uh, we gotta we understand that there's a human element to it, and people don't know some things that it's just human nature that you won't be able to grow into a role that you've been playing for a long time. And Michael Glinchey, he's not growing into that. He may be a really good coach down the line somewhere, but playing right tackle for the San Francisco 49ers, I think it's time to let him. How do you say? Here's your pink slip. There's the door. See you later. That's that's my take on Mike McGlinchey. So we just need to bring somebody in, and I don't know who's out there that can fill that spot. If you any of you guys have somebody in mind, pop it up in the comments, and sure we'll be able to talk about that later down the road on this off season. It's going to be a long one, very long one. Again, the bad news on Brock Purdy is that they fear that he's going to be out for at least 18 months. So, and that's what I read. It just came across the wire on Yahoo Sports. So we'll see what happens on his rehab, and hope he can get everything done. I have a buddy that I'm going to talk to later about that injury. That his son plays baseball and everything, but he's also a doctor and a chiropractor that deals with people with that kind of injury. So I'll talk to him about that and go on another show later um, and talk about more of the insights of that kind of injury. But that's just a tough way for our quarterback, promising future and everything. And it would have been sweet to see him get to the Super Bowl and win in his backyard, but that didn't happen. He's going to be going through rehab. So I would put Brock Purdy in your thoughts and prayers that he will recover and that he will have a bright future ahead. So going into next year, Brock Purdy is not going to, from the looks of it right now, but we never know. Healing is a thing that will sometimes some people's body react to healing a lot different than other people. So he could be one of those guys as a top athlete that can recover quickly. Steve O Supremo says Mike McGlinchey lucky he played again and had broken ribs. There's no better option this year. Yeah, and that's what I said. I mean, if we have somebody that if we have if we had a better option, I think he would have been out there. But I think it's time for them to look for that better option in this offseason. And Mike McGlinchey might be wanting to go play for a team that's closer to home back in PA. So that's what he might be doing. Um, so my thoughts on Brock Purdy, tough one. Wish that Cinderella story could have continued on into Super Bowl and that he would have won, but it didn't happen. And we're looking forward to. I want to really see what Trey Lance can do. Have a full season, games under his belt, and be able to go out there and prove to the NFL and to his colleagues in the NFL that he belongs there. So that's what Trey Lance needs to do. Is uh, he needs to be a guy that goes into this offseason, study hard, rehab hard, come back next year, have no fear, and knowing that he is going to be the starter, that he can get it done. He needs to prove that in the first uh, in preseason. He needs to prove that he can be out there running and throwing, and then come the season, he needs to do exactly what he knows how he can do, and that's play football. I mean, gentlemen, this if there's ladies in here, ladies and gentlemen, this is a league um, that plays a game that we all used to play when we were kids. We all used to get out there in the playground or on the streets, and we used to throw and run and play football, wait for cars to pass us by in the neighborhood so we can get back to playing. That was, I guess, those are our little timeouts and everything. But he needs to understand, hey, don't make the game bigger than it is. You can make this game your game. And that's my call for Trey Lance to do coming up this year is make it his game. Make this team his team. Brock Purdy is going to be rehabbing. So make this your team. And if we have these two young guys as our Joe Montana and Steve Young, so to say, because that's what we had back in the 80s and in the early 90s. We had Steve Young and and Joe Montana there. So we have two young quarterbacks. Um, they don't command a whole lot of money, but it's just a great thing for us to have is to have these two young quarterbacks. And the future is bright for San Francisco. The future is really bright. Just because what happened on Sunday, that does not happen to any team. That is the first time in my life watching sports that you see the 49ers during the season lose two quarterbacks and then in the playoffs in one game lose two quarterbacks. Of course, yeah, Brock Purdy came back in late in the game just to hand off, but that was it. He just handed off the ball. So if we look at um, bad luck and everything, well, that was it. That was the worst luck that they ever could have ran and encountered was on Sunday. And moving forward, if we ever see that again, hopefully it's not in my lifetime because you don't wish that upon any team or any players. We seriously, that was like the worst luck game I ever seen in my life to have our quarterbacks go down. So I did say last night I was on Wolfcast show last night with him, and I did say in there how I got on with a couple of Eagles sites and listening to them and chiming into them, and a lot of them said, a lot of the fans said that if we had a quarterback that wasn't scared and was able to throw in that game, they saw that there would have been a different outcome. But would we really have done any better if we went into the Super Bowl with a non-throwing quarterback? That's the thing. So we even talked about in that game if putting in like a receiver to play the Wildcat, but what effect would that have gotten us if we made it to the Super Bowl? So those are just type of questions that spins in my head sometimes. So this is this has been great, guys. This was supposed to be only 30 minutes, but because of uh, difficult technical difficulties on my on my other streaming platform, I couldn't get everything up. So I'll get all the kinks and everything done before I go on live again, and especially for Friday, where we have Wolfcast is going to come in as a co-host with me, and we're going to be hosting Elisa Tuyaki, former defensive coordinator for BYU, former coach for Fred Warner, and so he actually used to be a offensive guy first before he became a defensive guy. Um, which it kind of surprised me because I thought he was going to do that. So Friday, look for it. I'll be posting it up all over the different streams. So Brian Cope, my daily stream is usually 11 o'clock Mountain Time. So, and sometimes I want to go earlier. So if any of you guys want to do something early in the morning, we can do that. So Wolfcast said, great show, brother. And then, yeah, I'm going to now try to go live every single day. Sundays, I can't do Sundays live because of church stuff that I do. So usually every day I can go on live in the mornings. And then in the evenings, it'll be, if Wolf has a stream on, then I will go on a different time. But just on the notification bell, just hit our notification bells and hit that like and subscribe and share our channel with everybody. What we want to accomplish is we want to be able to go and be part of that press briefing and everything that everybody else is doing with San Francisco inside the locker room. So if we can get our platforms, if we can get our streams to we need to be all the way up there to be able to get the credentials and everything. So I'm looking into different avenues with people that I know that are in broadcast to see what would happen if we came on board with them and we can get those credentials to be able to become guys in the locker room for the NFL or the NBA. So, but most likely we'd love to be. I mean, Wolf loves to be there too. So to be in the locker room and be able to talk with all the players and be in that press conference in the meetings where we ask questions of all the players and the coaches, that'll be awesome. So I am out for today. Thanks everybody for coming in and joining the show. I will have the schedule. So I'll be streaming this pretty much every day at this time, maybe a little bit earlier, but usually 11 o'clock Mountain Time, which is 10 o'clock Pacific Time. So till the next one, enjoyed it. All right, hit that like and subscribe and share this all over the social media platforms for everybody. And we'll see you on the next one.